Oops. Aloha, everyone. This is Tamara Mackay with Redtime Stories, here to bring you some information locally and nationally, and get to the bottom of corruption and things that are going on throughout our nation and locally. Anyways, this week it's going to be me and Dan Turner, and Helen Tupai is joining us. We also are going to have Tarita Tahatu join us, but she is in Israel. She's been texting us a little bit of the updates, and we can give you some scoops of what is going on over there. Apparently, from what she is saying, and she's trying to stay safe right now, that the news, of course, is not telling us everything that is going on. So I don't know if she'll be able to sneak on, but we want her to stay safe. If she can, she can. And otherwise, when she returns, or if she can send in a video while she's over there, we'll definitely share that with you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Dan Turner and Helen Tupai, and we'll get the party started. Just so happens, with what is going on in Israel, and Tarita just happens to be over there. That was one of our topics that we were going to be talking about today, as well as the situation that's going on with the Speaker of the House. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Really well. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good.
Hey, Helen.
I like your hat.
Thanks. I like yours too.
Oh, yeah. They're both of ours are, now Carrie Lake is officially announced that she's running for Senate in Arizona, which is amazing. And was endorsed by Donald Trump. Wow. So we're very excited, so I know the Hawaii Republican Party tomorrow is having a fundraiser, and Carrie Lake has submitted a video and it will be introduced by Dr. Kelly Ward. So I'm pretty excited to share that. And we have a couple other surprise guests, as well as Joe Akana, who will be speaking live before the governor from New Hampshire. But anyways, let's move on about, because Israel is going on. And Dan, what's your take on the situation that we're being faced with?
Really, we're spectators in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a spectator sport until somebody in your own backyard blows something up. We've been allowing illegal immigrants into our nation now ever since the Biden administration usurped its way into authority. And we have no real idea. And that was admitted in a congressional hearing here not too long ago, when they pinched somebody from the Department of Homeland Security. And he had to confess, we know of about 15 people who are dangerous, bad people. But as far as the getaways, as they're called, we have no idea. It is, in estimations, around hundreds of thousands of people who would do us harm if they were able to lay hold of explosives or guns or 2x4s with nails bent in them. Mm-hmm. So we need to be on guard, because, again, it gets right back to that old axiom: if you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. And some of you may remember back in 9/11, following the event of 9/11/2001, many people were actually commenting about, I remembered seeing something. I remembered hearing something. Well, I knew about those guys taking those air training courses, and it seemed weird to me, but I just dismissed it. See something, say something. We have to be on heightened awareness right now. That's our exposure, is that they've called for worldwide jihad, which means gang up on America. And the simple fact is, we have a lot of people in this country who don't love America in the first place, let alone those who declare war on us through uh, their political theocracy, shall we say. I think that Israel needs to take the most aggressive posture it can take. And if it has to bomb Gaza into a giant plate of sand, so be it. They need to do what they need to do. They need to roust those cockroaches out and destroy them with impunity, and let them be gracious where they see grace. But as far as we've seen, Hamas and Hezbollah have not shown any regard for human life, let alone mercy. So
We have
kill them all, let God
yeah,
sort them out.
right. Tarita's, trying to text when she can, so it's a little bit broken. We're trying to get it clarity because she says, please pray because they are already on the land and Hawaii is embracing them. So we want clarity of what she means by that. We don't want to put any fear in anyone, but we want everybody to be aware of their surroundings. Now, you talk about
Mhm.
the border and so forth, and been seeing, some private citizen journalism that is there, and they're showing footage. And Helen, it looks like a lot of them, you don't see a lot of women and children. It's mostly men, young men, and they're being put in tents. Isn't that a red flag?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're fighting age men.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No women, no children. That should be a little alarming.
yeah.
And
90% of them are between 16 and 40.
yeah,
Young males, 16 to 40 years of age. Those are warriors. Those are not immigrants. They're not
Yes.
refugees.
they're not
So what do you
refugees.
think that the American people should do or can do at this point, since they're already coming by the hundreds and thousands across the border?
The founders would have been shooting by now.
Right.
Hmm.
But what is it that we can do? I mean, some people are feeling really helpless, you know.
We definitely need to pray. That's for sure. Pray for the
Yeah,
peace because we have to pray against the spirit of violence, and that's what
powers
the
of
strife.
darkness.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and we need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and that people would really strengthen their faith right now. Because there's a lot of stuff flying in the air, so it's like um, not to not to give into the spirit of fear, but just really quiet our spirits and strengthen our faith, especially me being a person with faith in God. And um, so really pray for the peace of Israel and Jerusalem, um, and protection, especially for the innocent people who are being hurt by this.
A little bit of what Tarita has just texted, and mind you, this is coming from Tarita, and she is in Israel right now. For those who are watching, and she said the radical Arabs who are they are controlled by the spirit of hate, and that
Mhm.
uh, people are not aware in Hawaii that they already have mosques here. They are
Mhm.
capturing our children by their doctrine and using the excuse like what America did to Hawaii. And this is how they are catching the emotional part of our children being taught in the University of Hawaii. She says, please know that the majority of the teachers in the University of Hawaii are pro Palestine and enemies of Israel. Therefore, the enemies of Christian is the scheme that the enemy is using. It spreads like fire, and children and teachers and our Hawaiian community is being sucked in by deception. What do you think about what she just said, Helen?
Yeah, you definitely you have to. be discerning. You can't just blindly receive. You really got to listen to the right voices. You have to listen to the right, be around the right people of faith, and not the radical violent type. Because that is just off the deep end, when you're hurting innocent people and children. And here, we have people you've seen in the news, people, it's been getting heated a little bit, those that are supporting the radicalism, but not when it hurts people. We shouldn't be supporting that kind of stuff.
Right. The barbarianism
Yeah,
is
Hawaii.
disgusting. And so with that being said, Dan, she continues on and talks about we need as we say, the Lord open the eyes and the hearts of ignorant people who just go by what the spirit of evil is sharing with them. She said this is very spooky until they find their children's heads are being cut off by this radical jihad Islam that hate everyone is not they hate everyone that is not in their religion. People should realize and educate themselves on what belief of jihad is, and then they should make the decision of putting themselves in a place of danger or not. She said, I love what President Trump said. He gave this analogy about a snake that was frozen and a woman picked it up to save it. I'm going to try and find this right now and she'll send it to us. If this is in fact the case that jihad and the radicals are here in Hawaii, what should we be doing right now?
Well, the thing we should probably be doing is the one thing that's illegal to do, and that's that they should be quarantined and held in some kind of secure situation. Yeah, I know. I can't believe I just said that. The the thing that we need to understand about Islam, and relatively speaking, nobody does, is that you need to think of Islam in two factions: the aggressive, uh, tyrannical, uh, terrorist element of it, and everybody else. And the way you think of that is the terrorist element is the snake, but everybody else is the grass that hides the snake. There's no such thing as a moderate Muslim. They're all this way. They just find their way of supporting Islam and allowing the 3% of the Muslims who are crazy bomb throwing terrorists to do what they do. And that is sadly, there was a gentleman named Thomas Abraham after 9/11. He came to our church as a Muslim, a Christian convert from Islam. And he just kind of laid the cards on the table. This is what you think, and this is the reality, that we have honor killings. Women have no rights. Children have no rights. We we operate as a theocracy, not as a religion. And when you begin looking at it through that different prism, and you're able then to display those varying rays of light in their true color, then you begin to pick up on that spectrum that you can see where that particular Muslim is, where they're fitting into the grander scheme. But jihad is a part of their culture just as much as Christmas is part of ours. And if we fail to recognize the danger, like, did either of you realize that wherever you see an Islamic mosque, what you see is a declaration of victory over that culture, over that neighborhood? They don't put up mosques because they want a local place to go worship. They put up a mosque to demonstrate a victory that they've had in subduing their enemies. That's the purpose of a mosque. So the more mosques you see, the fewer non-Islamic people you're going to see. And once they get that foothold, then they begin infiltrating and integrating more and more of their culture and eliminating the culture that they have conquered. But the
Mm.
mosque is the first step. So it
So,
troubles me that they've built mosques around the campus because they're out recruiting. You can count on it.
so now that that we're aware of it, people still don't know what they should do. What should
Mhm.
the people do here in Hawaii to protect themselves or to be aware? What can actions can be taken?
Protest, they can't stand the light of day. They really can't. And unfortunately, when it comes to protest, they defy the law. And the stages of Islam are such that when you have less than 1% of the population as Muslim, they're very humble and they're very meek and they don't make any noise and they just try to fit into the culture. But as they reproduce and as they bring in more, they get louder and louder and louder, and then they become boisterous, and then they become assertive, and then they have to have their own polity, and then we need our own police force and our own court system. And they set up Sharia law, and then they begin doing public punishings and then public decapitations, and the next thing you know, there's no room for you anymore. That's how they conquer. They are a a menace in that regard. And if you don't stop them soon, they will own the islands. They will. They'll just simply, it's like
Right.
Dearborn, Detroit.
But
They
it's
call it
stopping them
Dearbornistan.
again. Yeah, again, it's stopping them. People want to know how
Mhm.
they can get to the point of stopping them.
We have very few tools at our
Hell,
discretion. One of them is the vocal physical protest and interrupting their religious what do you call that? The curtain call at the end of the day. They pray to Mecca 5 times a day, and interrupting that becomes extremely important, while it is also extremely difficult
hmm.
because that means you have to take your time and go out and subject yourself to the exposure of literally confronting them in their actions and compelling them to stop. And that takes numbers and it takes understanding, comprehension, realization, and the gumption and the spine to stop it. And gumption and spine are things that are in rare supply in Hawaii, sadly.
So then basically, are we defenseless right now? Are we just,
Well, we
are
have
we
a
just,
Second Amendment, but they're going to take as much from us without firing weapons as they can.
well, yeah, I don't think that they care about our Constitution and our amendments.
No, they don't. No, they don't. But they will hide behind them. They will use the First Amendment to declare their right to free expression of religion, to free speech and free press, and promote themselves using our Constitution as a weapon against us to promote their own infiltration. They'll do that, and they're good at it. But we have those rights too. And
Mm,
it takes courage to confront somebody whose intention is to destroy you and call them out on it and shine the light of day so that we reverse the public perception of Islam. They're not the religion of peace unless you like looking at a corpse as
mhm.
being sleeping and resting. That's their idea of peace is death.
Well, as I said here in what Tarita, for those of you who are just now joining us, Tarita Tahatu, who has been on Red Time Stories a few times, she is actually in Israel right now, and she's with help counseling and in prayer with many of those people who are being affected by what is going on there. Um, so they said that right now they have two intercessors traveling the East Coast. She cannot reveal their assignment as they aren't completed yet. So they are done with their assignment in Jerusalem. But if the Lord shuts the airport down, they cannot leave. We are sure that
Yeah.
the Lord's work is not done with us. So they're hoping, she's trying to stay safe, of course, and we're praying for her to stay safe She did mention that we saw on the news that Biden said that he did not see any heads decapitated. She said, for us, we know he didn't see that because he didn't go to the areas of high alert, nor did he go to the families of those on the field who suffer from the loss and pain. We are feeling their pain and loss. Please pray as many believers here in the Masonic community have sons and daughters, and they're fighting the evil over there in Islam right now as we're speaking. We don't know if she will be able to join us, but we want her to be safe, so we don't want her safety to be revealed or compromised. If she can, she will maybe try and reach out to us later or send a video if she can. But we definitely want everybody's thoughts and prayers to be with her, and that she stays safe while she is in Israel. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that, Helen?
Just that's why I agree with all of our friends on the continent who are saying that we have to protect our borders. When we were canvassing last year, one of my sisters, we were in the HPP area, and she said there's this large there's this property where it was just all men. It was a lot of men, and it was just strange. And we were just like, we don't know. They're not from here. So
And
yeah,
that was over there on
we're on the Big
Oahu.
Island.
I mean Big Island. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so
Paradise Park.
east side.
Paradise. Okay.
Just yeah. So it's just it was just it's just an interesting comment she made. So I wanted to ask her last night more information. But that's why we believe in our Second Amendment rights and our having our
Absolutely.
weapons to protect
Mhm.
ourselves, the right to the militia and all that. So we're not defenseless. So
Well,
I'm
let's
yeah.
also keep in mind, less than 2 weeks ago, I think, Biden authorized $6 billion in cash to Iran,
Mm-hmm.
and within 2 weeks, we have this. Should we believe those two events are unconnected? I don't see how you can. I think it's naivety that would allow
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
when Biden got in office, he reversed Trump's decision to take the $6 billion that had been given by Obama.
Right.
So now they've got the money they need to develop nuclear weapons. And the other thing to historically keep in mind is that early in the Hitler regime, Adolf brought the leaders of Islam to Germany, and he indoctrinated and taught them the the methodologies of fascism. And when you think of his Aryan race, that is a direct reflection to Iran. The two are the same meaning. We pronounce it Iran, but the true point of it is Aryan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they function, is an autocratic fascist state. And they got that from Hitler. So now you know what we're. In fact, there was an interesting photograph of several of the Gang of Four women in Congress who were wearing red dresses that had swastikas embroidered into the body of the dress. I mean, it was very plain that as Muslims, they were. Omar Ilhan was one of them. Talib was the other one, and I can't remember. They didn't identify the third. All three of them were sporting swastikas. This is not about Muslims. This is not about Islam. This is about fascism. Islam is something, it's just a cover.
So, I was seeing if she had one more thing to add. I know she sent
Okay.
the Trump reads the poem, the snake poem. I don't know if I could
Mhm.
pick it up, but I can play it real quick. Let's see if it'll come through. Let me know. But obviously, it's made an impression on. Can you hear?
The snake. So I have it. Does anybody want to hear it again?
Can you hear it?
You sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. So let's dedicate this to General Kelly, the Border Patrol, and the ICE agents for doing such an incredible job. Right? This was written by Al Wilson a long time ago. And I thought of it having to do with our borders and people coming in. And we know what we're going to have. We're going to have problems. We have to very, very carefully vet. We have to be smart. We have to be vigilant. So here it is, the snake. It's called the snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in and I'll take care of you. The border. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I have saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
Hey, Dr. Drew, my wife Susan here. We want to show you something.
So what does that say?
This guy all over your feed claiming the cutting carb.
That you can do it now. You're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. Eventually you're going to pay. We allowed this to metastasize and now we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
knew they were snakes when they came in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we'll go ahead and take a quick break for our sponsor, Be Nourished. And when we come back, we'll move on to, we can continue on talking about Israel and we'll keep an eye out for Tarita and give you some input from her. Otherwise, we'll go on to talking about the Speaker of the House situation. Fun. But thank you to Be Nourished. They're great sponsors. They're great citizens. And please support them. They support our community. And we'll have the address at the end of the video from Be Nourished.
Honey. It's one of the greatest gifts to man. With millions of wildflowers in every bottle, the nourishing power of honey is still yet to be fully discovered. Be Nourished Healing Products combines healing ingredients from around the planet to the purest honey from the island of Maui to bring magic to your taste buds. The best honey from the most beautiful place to nourish your body, mind, and soul. From our hearts to yours, be nourished.
Thank you again from Be Nourished. Please purchase their products and support them. And when you hit Enter Liberty at the end of your purchase, you'll receive the 22% discount off of your order. Be Nourished is the best products on the planet. Okay, so we're back and we were talking about Israel, and one of our regular basically she's been almost like a co-host with everybody, and she is in Israel right now, Tarita Tehatu, and we were hoping she could join us, but because for her safety she's unable to do so, but she's sending us in little messages, and before we go on to the next topic, but we'll chime in. If she chimes in, I'll definitely give you some updates from her. But did you go ahead, Helen? I know you want to talk about what the Republicans need to start doing. You're muted, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you, Tamara.
We're
I know
not readers.
I know you just mentioned that Carrie Lake just announced she's running, and I think that's the exact same thing that Republicans nationwide should do and start announcing that they're going to be running, even though that the formal intention is not going to be filed till February, I think, next year. But I've seen even Democrats have started launching on social media that they are running for office next year. So for those future Republican candidates, if you guys want to run out, I strongly recommend and encourage you to begin announcing, launching, and mobilizing now, and don't wait to the last minute.
No, definitely. It's really important. That's why I keep harping on you guys to definitely run for office, and I'm not going to let off of that, because you got to put your money where your mouth is, right? So but it is a good point that we need to start mobilizing now, even if you haven't decided what position you're running for. We have to get the campaign out, we need to get the teams out, we need to spread the word, because it was we had our recent disaster here on Maui, and it affected our entire state, but it took the people to come together. It wasn't the government, it wasn't Josh Green or anybody else who came in, and FEMA didn't make it easy for anyone. And we're still, I think they're hoping that Maui and Lahaina will just kind of fall behind the wayside and go away. But we have to stay vigilant with that. What does that have to do with Republicans? Because what had happened to Maui was not under a Republican watch. It was under a Democratic watch, with poor direction, poor leadership, poor action, and still is poor recovery. So this is the time to show that we need to change what has been going on for over 50 years, 50 to 60 years. We haven't gotten anywhere but a higher cost of living. There's more Hawaiians living in the Las Vegas area than there are in Hawaii, and it wasn't under a Republican leadership. So we need to show them that we have to make a difference. You got to stop the insanity. You can't vote the same way, and because you're just going to get the same results. Would you like to elaborate more on that, Dan and Helen?
Yeah. Dan, you want to go first? Well, I know over here. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. No, insanity is measured as doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome each time. The point is that I was surprised by your comment that there's more Hawaiians living in Vegas than there are in Hawaii.
Yep.
Which brings to clarity that expression of the ninth island. But there has never been a Republican majority in the House or the Senate, ever. That's 63 years of inbreeding, voting, clubfoot, cleft palate, web fingers, the whole 9 yards. You're hiring socialists to represent you, and simultaneously, those socialists do not regard you. They think they rule. And I was just commenting to a guy this morning about my GE tax certificate for owning my business. And I'm supposed to post it prominently so people know that I participate in the GE tax and so they don't get fined if they come in and do an audit. But the first line of the first paragraph of script on that reads, "It is a privilege for you to have, not own, have a business in Hawaii." No, it's not. It's my right. And you've usurped that right and licensed it and taxed me with it so that now I have to pay homage to the state to earn my own way through this. And that's just an example of the arrogance. This 10.4 mile train to nowhere that they start. Why didn't they start that downtown and go east and west? Instead, they start out on the west side of town in Kapolei, and they got you all the way down to Waipahu. But now what? You're obligated to finish the rest of it, and we're spending $51 per rider. It's like I almost want to get a gun and stand there and prevent people from getting on the train. It's a matter of self-preservation. I did the numbers just on an average, running 30-40% occupancy, running that every day on a 30-day month. It's like over $220,000 a month. And I could have misplaced the decimal. I think it might have been $2 million a month that we're going backwards because we have a high-speed rail. And this is the same idiocy that got us into the rail, that got us into the bed taxes, that got us into the GE taxes, that's keeping the Jones Act on the books, that's doing all of the stuff. If you just look at why your life is not great here, you live in paradise, but you struggle like it's a concentration camp. Why? Mm-hmm. I had to get my licenses renewed the other day. My tags expired. And so my title's on Big Island. I'm here. I would have to fly back to Big Island, get my title, go to the title office, have them retitle me to a different county in Oahu so that I could come back here and get my plates. You don't have to do that in Ohio. Your registration is proof of ownership, not your title. Your title is a method of transferring ownership. Mm-hmm. But here, because of the structure of that Democrats built and kept, I can't even go down and get a 10-day or a 30-day tag just to get me time to maneuver through all of this. I have to drive on expired plates and hope I catch a cop, or a cop that catches me actually is in a good mood today. Everything you want to look at, anything you want to study is messed up because of the Democrat politics in this state. And the collectivism that goes along with it is cultural. Freedom is individual. And therein lies the problem. We think culturally and appropriate our freedoms to the culture under the guise of for the better good. And meanwhile, that sacrifices the freedoms and the rights that we all should be and could be enjoying.
So, Dan, if you were to run for office, what would be your platform?
Well, I can see no other recourse than complete reform. I would, to the greatest extent possible, and this is the thing, unless we have a gigantic epiphany where people actually sit down and think about things and say things along the lines of, the government that I've trusted my entire life and subsidized and gone along with, even when my common sense has told me, wow, this is dumb, but I'm going to do it because the government wants me to do it, and has failed miserably from everything from the coronavirus, which was nothing. It was a 3-day headache, for crying out loud. Nobody died of COVID. Anybody who had it when they died of remdesivir poisoning. The treatment they used was designed to destroy your kidneys and kill you. But the government, through IGE, shut down businesses, ruined businesses. We've got, walk down King Street, walk down Beretania. It's nothing but boarded up shops. Used to be, not no more. They laid people down, laid people off. We had higher alcoholism, suicides, drug abuse, broken families, increase in divorces, schools shut down. Kids are mentally set back 2 years now, not just because of being forced into masking situations, when even the physicians say there's no reason for any child under the age of 40 to get this vaccine or to be treated for COVID. You have a robust immune system that's more than capable of handling this, that would leave you with antibodies that would exempt you from any future treatments. You're going to be fine. But no, that was just step one, was how he utterly destroyed the infrastructural family and business, small business, medium-sized businesses in Honolulu, in Hawaii in general. And then you couple that with the recent Lahaina fire. We saw vividly all over again the most incompetent people we can find in the island, we put in office. You know, there's an old expression, we have criminals in Ohio, but we don't reelect them. Mm-hmm. Here, they nominate them and reelect them over and over and make them kings and queens. So my first step towards eliminating that, assuming we could get a majority, is one thing. Having the minority, I would have to be compelled to work with the other conservative elements of the Democrat Party to get through any legislation at all. And that ends up being problematic, because if you don't do anything, well, you didn't even make any bills. Well, I'm one of five congressmen. There's not much I can do, but I did get a lot done. It's just that you can't see it. And if you can't see it, you won't reelect it. But the problem of the one-handed, one-sided structure that we have here, where everything is Democrat, everything is Democrat, is daunting. The best thing that I could do would be to guarantee any of the constituents who voted for me, and even those who didn't, that my number one priority is to do whatever I can to stand in the way of this juggernaut who insists on turning us into a communist concentration camp, and defend your rights, defend your freedoms, and push back against the nonsense from the imbeciles who have taken these seats.
That's pretty strong, and I think you could do a good job. So we're going to make sure that you run. Helen, you're going to run again, right? You're considering county council, right?
I was. But I want to support the strong ones that are in front of me, you know, when they run, and support them in any way I can. And also, recently, I know I've been attending some of the town hall meetings with the mayor, and I've been just observing, you know, some of our past candidates, you know, asking questions of the smart cities with our mayor here locally, and just exposing the lies. You know, they pretended that they didn't know anything about smart cities.
Yeah.
Then at
What are they saying? What are they saying about that, Helen?
They said they didn't know anything about smart cities when they were asked, when I went to the Volcano Town Hall over a month ago. And the people asked them. The people in Volcano were in an uproar. They were awake. Then they had another meeting in Pahoa a couple, I think it was last week. And then they had another town hall this Saturday in Hilo. So it's just people are starting to ask questions. And also, if I can bring it up too, you know, during the mandates, we were using the affidavits to address this corrupt administration. They're not for the people. And I've been in contact with the group, Dave Jose, who they use the affidavits in Arizona so they're using the affidavit template to address other things. And so I was asking about emergency proclamation. What about the chemtrails? You know, it's like the weather is still crazy. It's like you can no longer ignore this weird weather that's like it's October and it's like so hot. It's like burning hot. It's burning our skin. You know, it's like this does not
Mm.
feel natural. When we were canvassing
Mhm.
last year at this time, it was raining.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
this is like you can totally tell it is man-made. It's
Mm-hmm.
being engineered. It's being manipulated, and it's like enough is, you know, they're poisoning our food, they're poisoning our water, they're poisoning the oxygen we breathe. You know, they're taxing
Mhm.
us. They want to take our homes, our land. You know, it's like they just want to decimate mankind, the human race, you know,
Mhm.
at every level. And that's why it's important for people like Dan, people like you, Tamara. Thank you for stepping up, you know, being the state chair. And Dan, you're going to be awesome. Just hearing your fire. So
Yeah.
I just cannot wait, you know, just and I'm just running, you know, for the people, you know. It's us as we mobilize together and support one another, and because this is really good against evil. So
Yes.
I want to support those that are, you know, just in front of us. And for me, I've been the past couple months I've been working with the youth, um, helping them, teaching them their character, you know, the importance of that, their relationship with God. So just more of the character issues. So it's like this is good serving in another way, a capacity. So I'll serve wherever however I can help. You know, it's like promote justice, righteousness, and
So how's it looking for Junior running again?
well, he's been like to the town hall meetings and,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, just being in a lot of prayer. So you really just we have to stay attuned to the spirit of God, what he wants and what he's doing, so that we can shine His light to the community because
Mm-hmm.
people really need the Lord's light. They need the light shining through each and every one of us, so that people have hope. You know, they don't give up. They're not.
Yeah, we
They're
need
not
a lot of fighters to start stepping up.
yeah.
And I mean, we definitely have to work very hard for election integrity this
Yes.
year. So it's twofold. So we need our teams to do double duty, election integrity and getting people elected. So it's a lot of door knocking, and then it's a lot of holding the election office of elections accountable to ensure a fair election this year. It's super
Yes.
important, and we need to really continue to speak about that and hold them accountable. Scott Nago and his team, they need to do the right thing by the people. We need to do paper ballots
Yes.
by precincts, and if we can't do precincts, at least by districts, paper ballots. I just,
Stop
as I've said
mail-in
before,
voting.
yeah, we
Yes.
got to stop the mail in voting. And I say this over and over again. Historically, we've done paper ballots, 1 day voting, and we had the results done right away. Now it's like they're doing voting month, and they can't even get the results done in a longer amount of time. So, what does that say?
Mhm.
They're creating longer times to cheat. So, we know,
Yep.
let's call it what it is. But, so with that being said, now with the Speaker of the House situation, people were hoping that they were going to nominate Donald Trump as Speaker of the House. So
Mm.
how about that? I know we briefed on that last week. So what are your guys' thoughts now of the Speaker of the House situation?
I think when I was a little boy and I slept in the same bed with my other three brothers, and we'd get a little rambunctious after dark, and my dad was not having it. And he said exactly what Trump said. If you kids don't settle down, don't make me come up those stairs.
Right? So now we're at, I believe I read Scalise was elected.
Nope.
It didn't go through. Okay.
Unless it happened today. That was clever sleight of hand.
Mm,
They had a closed meeting with just the Republicans, and the vote was 113 to 99. But that was just a straw vote. That did not include the Democrats. But the
mm,
Republican rhino element, in other words, rhinos are Democrats who run with an R in their name, but they vote
mm-hmm.
Democrat. We're in your party, but we vote Democrat, kind of like a cancer cell in your body. We
Right.
look like the rest of you, but we'll kill you.
Right.
But what they still have to do is take this to the floor of the House and include the Democrats in the vote, which gives the Republicans the time they need to come up with 14 votes to change this and put, Scalise is a nice guy. He is a good man. He's in the fight for blood cancer. And I think it was Lauren Boebert who said, or no, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I love you, Scalise, but I would rather see, if you're going to fight over something, I'd rather see you fight over your health than to jeopardize your health in what is the most stressful job in the House. True that. And there's other people who look at this. The reason Scalise is being held up so much for this is because he is a rhino to a great
Right.
extent. He's the rhino we all love, but he's still a rhino. And that's where the 113 votes came from, largely. So they have to get rid of that. And
Right.
somebody, and if that Trump would do that, he said he would do it. That would be historic. Somebody who's not even elected can be nominated to Speaker of the House and run the House for the rest of the term. And simultaneously, he would get the budget done. That's for sure.
Do you think that's still possible that can happen?
Yes.
What
Which
do you
is
think?
another thing that we'd have to do in Hawaii. When's the last time we actually reviewed the state budget? When was there a budget cut? Ever?
Do you know, Helen? I think we're all dumbfounded. I don't think any of us
Yeah, I
know,
don't
so
think there's
that
ever
means
been one.
probably
That's
never.
just crazy talk.
It's a
That's
good
crazy. How can
assignment for one of us, someone to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No. So what are your thoughts about the Speaker of the House situation, Helen?
Oh, I was kind of excited when they were mentioning Trump's name. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be cool.
Mhm.
That's different. I'd be like, rile things up here. It's like, shake it up,
Mhm.
take out the rhinos, and
Yeah.
then,
Uh-huh.
yeah, enough of that already. Time for change.
Yeah. So, so you guys, what do you think? Do you think it's still possible that they might throw his name in there? Do you think he can pull the votes off against? You think there's enough votes to beat the Democrats to get Trump as Speaker of the House?
Well, you've got over 217 Republicans, which is
Mm-hmm.
more than Democrats. So they do have the votes to put Trump in office. However, converting the rhino element of that to vote for Trump, I mean, there's people who utterly hate him in the Republican Party in the Congress who would rather pull out their own teeth without Novocaine than vote for Trump. So I think he could run, he could make a few points, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's enough Republican votes. And the idea that you're going to pull anything out of the Democrats,
Hmm.
those are hardcore leftists.
Interesting. So, well, we'll see what happens. And then he's still on the campaign trail for the presidential seat, regardless if they put a gag order on him
Mhm.
and so forth. So he's still pounding the pavement with that. So, we have about 6 minutes left, you guys. Is there any thing you want to say in your closing remarks, Helen?
Just in agreement for safety for all our friends who are in Israel, including Tarita, and also for our yet to be friends there in Israel, um, and that we're in agreement for peace all over the world. That's what we desperately need, and for that spirit of aloha that's strong here in Hawaii to resonate throughout the whole world, because that's what we need right now.
Yeah. Do you think that's possible? Do you see this ending anytime soon?
Um, I think a lot of healing and repentance and prayer, confession needs to happen, and from our leaders, from the governments, and a lot of prayer for them, and changing over to new leadership all over needs
Well, I hope that Tarita stays safe and we hear from her and we were able to share more basically straight from the horse's mouth, because she's right there, as she had described in her text here, is that they're not really telling the whole truth. So surprise, you know, of what's going on. So I'd much rather hear from people who are physically there on the true feelings and how people are handling this, and do they see hope, and what their firsthand experience is for solutions. So I'm hoping she keeps us all updated on what's going on. How about you, Dan?
I agree. I think that the conflict in Israel will last until they run out of Hamas.
Mm,
And it has been, it's in the charter of Hamas and Hezbollah that they will not relent until every single Jew is dead. Dead, not in jail, not, no, they want you dead. And I don't think that Israel has a choice but to get in there and tear it out by the roots and destroy it before it destroys them.
Yeah.
do
So
you guys agree
the
that
quicker they get it done, the better it is for them.
do you guys agree that we Americans should be stepping in and supporting our Israel allies?
I don't think they need our help.
Okay.
I think we would simply get in the way because we'd bring our work rules and we'd bring our non-governmental organizations in and tell them how to fight and what they should do and whether they can use armed conflict or if they have to stand down and take punishment from an enemy. No, they're better off without us. I think if they need arms, sure, fine, give them to them.
Mhm.
But as far as us being involved in their fight, we really don't have a fight. And second of all, there's other than giving them guns and faces, there's really nothing that we can do that'll make their fight easier. Like like Ellen says, prayer
Yeah.
is the greatest bullet that we can offer.
Yeah.
I think there's around the Hawaiian Islands, there's some rallies that are coming up to show support and prayer for Israel, and I think, if we can try and publish those on social media, because
Mhm.
we need to stand together regardless of what our beliefs are, because this is the destruction of human lives, of humanity. And definitely, as we were talking earlier, it is a battle of good and evil. And
Mhm.
the it goes back to the thoughts of the reports. I remember seeing the TED talk for the first time a couple years ago, of Bill Gates talking about how they need to decrease the human population. And it
Yeah.
seems like this is all, part of that agenda, and with our finagling of the weather, and making it look like it's not a pre-orchestrated, which it
Yeah.
definitely it definitely
Yes.
is. Yeah.
The heat is coming back
Putting
up right now as we speak.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's 83 in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honolulu.
Yeah,
And
maybe that's,
Remark.
yeah, we can continue these types of conversations, because people, the feedback I've gotten is they like the topics, but nobody really is educated on what they can and cannot do. Like Helen, you talked about the affidavits. Um, People have heard of affidavits, but they don't know how to do affidavits. Rallying, or going when there's scheduled legislation to give testimony.
Mhm.
Um, how to fight chemtrails. What can we do to protect our health? I think we sharing some solutions for people would be a really great goal of
sure.
ours to include as well.
I saw that townhouse or town square meeting in Volcano where they asked Mitch his opinion on the uh, 15-minute cities, and he dumbed up. I mean, oh gee,
Yeah.
what's a 15 minute? I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yes, that's what he did.
I've had conversations with him prior to that meeting, and he knows darn well what those things are. He is a liar, and the
Yeah.
Yeah.
truth is not to be found in him.
Yeah.
But you can't talk about 15-minute cities, and you can't tell them, tell somebody like that about a smart city, especially if they have dumb answers, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
an
It's
oxymoron,
gotten paid for.
right?
excellent.
So,
Excellent.
um, well, thank you guys again. I look forward to seeing you guys again next week, and let's talk more about this, and hopefully we'll get a follow up from Tarita, and that she's safe. And it's really interesting, Helen. I think chemtrails and affidavits would be really important to share with people too, as another avenue of as a solution. Don't you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Yep.
to lawfully address the thing that's it's harming everyone,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
humans and animals. So it's like, let's use it. Any tools that we can use that to help us in this fight.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
he didn't listen to the petitions of the Lahaina people when the how many thousands of
Yeah.
petitions to no do not open for tourism, and he didn't listen to it.
Nope.
So
They
yeah,
don't care.
they
They
don't
don't
care.
care. Well, guys, just real
Exactly.
quick, we're going to go ahead and go, just if so people can get a hold of you. If you have any contact information you'd like to share, please go ahead and share that.
Sure.
Go ahead, Dan.
Dan Turner, akamaiwealthmanagement.com with the W's in front of it. Dan Turner, akamaiwealthmanagement.com. And you can call me or text me 808-464-5292, 464-5292. I hope you have a wonderful and deeply blessed week.
Thank you. And Helen, thank
Um,
you.
Thank you, Dan. I'm with the Dr. Helen Tupai Enterprises LLC. I also do business as Wellness Drinks Hawaii. You can reach me at H Tupai Enterprises, so it's my last name there, at proton.me. You can text or call at 808 289 1077.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
You
you
look
both for
younger every time I see you. What is going on with
maybe better filters. I don't know.
Yes.
Just kidding. Low light, better filters though.
you? Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you too again for joining us, and we'll see you
You.
next week. Thank you to everyone
Indeed.
who has tuned in. And every Thursday at 3 o'clock Hawaii Standard Time, or 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we are here to talk about things that concern us locally and globally. And remember, everybody, we as I always say, truth has no fear.